Hey guys, welcome to Paul's Hardware. People ask me all the time, hey Paul, how can I build the fastest computer possible? And I tell them, well, this is how you build the fastest computer possible with one GPU, for now.
Excellent!
The Thermaltake View 71 Snow Edition shows off your build in style with a frosty white paint job and 4 tempered glass side panels. You also get 2 pre-installed 140mm ring white LED fans, a vertical GPU mount with bracket, and 3-way radiator support for water cooling. So click the sponsor link in the description to learn more.
Now this is a complete build, and this is based on my monthly build series, which I just posted last week, so check it out if you want to see this build plus a $450 system. But there's really 2 main components here that make this the fastest computer possible. The first is the new NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2080 Ti, and I can't even talk about performance on this card yet, but I can safely assume that the 2080 Ti is going to be faster than the 1080 Ti, which was formerly the fastest single GPU, within reason that's not a Titan that you can buy for a gaming PC. Now again, I don't know what the actual performance of the 2080 Ti is quite yet, so it's possible that people could come in here and be like, oh, you should put a Titan V in there or something like that would actually be faster. We'll know more next week, so stay tuned for more upcoming content on my channel where I will actually hopefully be testing that and showing some performance numbers. The second part that is the key component for making this the fastest computer possible for gaming is the i7-8700K right down here. This is a 6-core 12-thread processor. Now, the only way you could get a little bit faster than the 8700K would be to go with the 8086K. That's essentially the same exact processor, it just ships at a higher frequency. So if you can overclock your 8700K to the same frequency as an 8086K, then they will behave the same. In either case though, it's the fastest processor for gaming. It's got the best single core performance, so the fastest gaming PC possible right now is going to be that processor paired with this GPU and then overclocking each one as much as you possibly can. To that end, we have a Master Liquid ML240R RGB all-in-one liquid cooler here. So liquid cooling is going to be our best bet for our CPU to give us some overclocking headroom. You would also want a decent motherboard with decent power delivery and overclocking options. I've got the Asus Prime Z370-A here. I actually recommended a Gigabyte motherboard in the builds video. They're both in the same ballpark when it comes to price and features. I simply use this one because I have it on hand. It should match with the color scheme as well, which is always nice. But that's pretty much it. The processor overclocked, the GPU overclocked, everything else is just sort of choose your own adventure for what parts you think will fit in there and look the best. Again, for the case in the setup video, I chose a different one than this. This is the Lian Li 011 Dynamic. I'm building this one because it's the white version and it's my first chance to try it out. This costs a little over $100. I was recommending about $100 to spend on the case for a system in this range. And if you're wondering the total cost of all these parts, or at least the parts I chose in the initial build setup video, it's about $2,400. Rounding things out, we've got the EVGA Supernova 750 G3. You can get away with the 650 watt power supply if you want to save a little bit of cash, but I do recommend 80 plus gold. You could also get away with the 80 plus bronze, but this is a higher end system, so I thought going with the higher end power supply would be a reasonable choice. For storage, I actually have 2 drives. So for an operating system drive and for fast loading of games and software, we have the Samsung 970 EVO. In the build video, I actually recommended the 960 EVO, which you can get for a little bit cheaper than this. Again, I'm going with this one because I have it on hand, but the 960 EVO will work just the same and pretty much just as well too. And then I'm recommending dropping in a 1TB SSD because you can find them for pretty cheap these days, around $150 or so. This is a SanDisk Ultra 2, 960 gig, but pick your poison when it comes to 1TB SSDs. There's quite a few options right now. That's going to give us a lot more fast storage for our Steam drive and getting all of our Steam games loaded up so we can play them at a moment's notice. And finally, for memory, I just have a simple G.Skill Ripjaws 5 kit here. This is not RGB, it's just a 2x16 gig kit and it's DDR4 3200 speed. That's going to give us a little bit of an extra edge when it comes to overall performance, and I wanted something that wasn't going to be standing out too much like all the RGB kits because honestly you pay a little bit extra for that and you don't get any extra performance bonus, so that's why I went with this kit. So those are the parts we're working with today. This is not going to be a full tutorial how to build video. I do have one of those up, so I'll link it and you can check that out if you want a step-by-step guide. I'm going to put this together and I'll pause from time to time to share maybe quirks with you as we go along, and then at the end I will not be able to share any performance numbers with you because that is still under embargo. But for now, we get to put a system together and the reviews and benchmarks will come later. Here's our Lian Li 011 Dynamic, co-developed with Der Bauer. And this is the white version. So I've actually built that system back there. It was in the air version of this case. I have not built in the non-air, the original dynamic version, so that's this, but it's special because it's white. I'm gonna leave the plastic covering on the front and side panels for now while I build. I will peel this one off though. Oh, that's fun. And I think our main question right now is going to be where to mount the all-in-one liquid cooler. I'm probably going to try to mount it right back here where it's got a setup for up to a 360 millimeter radiator. Just need to double check and make sure the tubing can reach over to the CPU socket without looking like it's too stretched out. Alright guys, at this point the build is pretty much assembled. I wanted to leave you with a few notes before I actually power it on for the first time. First, there's that 360 millimeter radiator mounting point there towards the front. I felt like it was kind of empty without anything mounted to it, and I did decide to mount the all-in-one liquid cooler to the top here rather than that there, mainly because of the way these tubes were coming across. It was just very awkward however I was orienting it there and trying to route it over. So I just decided to go at the top. It's got a nice easy loop down here, and it's gonna push that warm air from the CPU at the top of the case. But I wanted to fill that space in, so I've added 3 Cooler Master RGB LED fans. Those are optional. They're not included in the price of the build, so they're purely there mainly for aesthetics. They're going to push a little bit of air through, but it's not in a very practical direction, but they're there, so I wanted to give some explanation as to why. Also wanted to point out I'm using the sleeved cable extension kit that EVGA provides for this 750 watt power supply, so that's also not included in the price. Normally you would have just all black cabling. These look a little bit nicer, so it kind of finishes off the build. And then finally for this case specifically, and actually any case that you might get that has a USB Type-C port in the front that is a USB 3.1 Gen 2 10 gigabit per second port, the ones that have the new header, you probably want to use a motherboard that has that header too. This motherboard does not have that, so I would recommend definitely taking another look at the Gigabyte version that I chose, which is the Z370 Aorus Gaming 5, which you can currently get for about $170 to $180. Very similar features to this. It's actually got an extra M.2 slot and it has that header, so I would be able to plug in all my front panels if that were the case. Other than that though, everything's looking very pretty. I actually like how the silver blends in with the rest of the case, so silver, white, and black overall. And since it looks like we have a successful initial boot, I am going to put the side panels back on and peel off this protective coating. And there it is, guys, the fastest computer that you can currently build specifically for PC gaming, and it's only going to cost you around $2,400. Of course, a little bit more if you use everything that I've included here today, but check the description down below, and I will include links to the stuff that I built this system with, as well as the original list of parts that I did with the monthly builds video, so you can pick and choose what suits your purposes or your budget. For now, though, that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and definitely hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed it. I will be coming back with some actual benchmark reviews of the RTX 2080 and 2080 Ti very soon, so don't forget to subscribe too. We'll leave you guys with a little bit of a montage of this completed build, and thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.